This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And now, your host of the Ballsville podcast, Scott Fitzgerald.
All right. Thanks for that.
He could.
To another
that was
episode
weird.
of Ballsville podcast. I'm your host.
That was supposed to be my Bill fight song, but it didn't start the right point in the file.
Oh man, this is why I'm the producer.
Exactly.
I'm your host, Scott Fitzgerald, aka Lose for Sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by the Ballsvillegame.com. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. I am welcoming in my panel. He is Bill's Mafia. Big win this weekend. He goes by Sklem on Sleeper. What is up, Sean?
What's up, buddy? Go Bills.
And below him, she is our producer. She is from Cali. She is Sarah M21. What is up, Sarah?
How's it going, gentlemen? Good to see you all, as always.
And the boy from West Texas. He is Ballsville's 2024 Player of the Year. He goes by C-Bomb. What is up, Connor?
What's up? Thanks for having me again.
All right. Divisional rounds are over. We will go
We need to
through
change
those.
Connor's background first and foremost. Before we move forward, that background needs to move on. We've got it, Connor. Player of the Year.
It's my background until the Nets Player of the Year award.
Hey,
And they'll just put it
somebody's
X.
got to knock him
X2.
off.
It's okay. Nobody can read it anyways. It's all cut off.
Hey, somebody's got to knock him off his pedestal. So, hey, go ahead and rock it. Go ahead and rock it. So, so we'll get into the divisional recaps. We'll get into the AFC NFC championships. We'll also get into some coaching hirings. We'll get into our Ballsville playoff recap, some future pod episodes, what we plan on doing, and when some of our game expansions are going to happen. That will be very exciting. So first and foremost, we'll get into some coaching. The Detroit Lions were literally gutted this weekend after their horrifying playoff loss. Ben Johnson has been hired by the Chicago Bears. Awful situation for anyone in the NFC North. Great news for Caleb. He gets himself a great offensive mind to help him. Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets. Screw the Jets. And then Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, they are back in New England. So we will start with the easy one. We'll go with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. We will go around the horn. Sean, what do you think about that hiring, especially for Drake May?
I think we pretty much knew that Mike Vrabel was getting hired last year around this time, right? This was pretty much the biggest no-brainer of the offseason that we've actually had, And then you hear, Josh McDaniels, surprise, surprise. Yes, he's coming back too, right? That part to me is ridiculous. I think it's been proven that Josh McDaniels is nothing to that Tom Brady, but I guess we're going to try this again because, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But here we go. I'm not concerned. I just feel like, they've solidified the bottom of the barrel for them for, the AFC East. And I'm glad that, that's not the Bills anymore.
All right, let's go to a non-AFC East fan, and we'll go down to Sarah. And Sarah, can you put a more positive spin on this take?
Yeah, I honestly say this for all of the coaching, the staff's hirings right now. I think that it's a positive thing for all the teams right now. So I think Mike Vrabel very well could bring something really special to Drake May and the team in general. I think if he doesn't, and if things are still failing, maybe it might not all be all the coach. There might be something team-wise going on, but I think that they're all positive hires, honestly. And I think this one is definitely a positive hire.
The Mike Vrabel side, I don't mind. It's the Josh McDaniels part that bothers me the most. I just don't like that for Drake May personally.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, Connor, is this wheels up for Drake May? This has got to be good news for him.
I mean, if they had any weapons there, I would say maybe so, but they have. I mean, they don't have
T. Higgins.
I don't think T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is probably staying put with the Bengals.
Ooh,
And that means Jamar Chase.
That's a
Jamar
hot
Chase.
But I think, they have to get him a weapon somewhere. They got to draft a receiver. They got to draft. They have to get a running back in there that can move the ball. Stevenson was terrible this year, but coaching wise, I think it's probably good. Build a culture there with Vrabel, maybe, hopefully. But they have to have weapons regardless. So,
yeah, I actually like the hiring. New England's they have the most money as far as cap money goes. They have the most money to spend. They've been linked to T. Higgins. I think it would be a great fit for the New England offense, having Drake May have a true number one receiver to go to. He's still got the tight end Hunter Henry there, which is nice. They do need a little bit better of a running game, but I mean, Josh McDaniels is not a good coach, but offensive coordinator, he's proven to be a very good OC. So I think it's a good fit. There's really nothing they can go but up. I don't know how much farther you can go down in New England, but if they can bring in another weapon like a T. Higgins, and T. Higgins is looking for the max. I mean, this is going to be his sail away contract. I mean,
we know how much farther they can fall. It's one spot, right? I mean, they're the third pick in the draft, so 2 spots. That's how much farther you can fall.
Even if Higgins doesn't go there, if they can get a seasoned good wide receiver to help bring up these rookies that they keep picking and not doing anything with, that would be really helpful.
I think I would have fired the scouting staff long before I would have fired the coaching staff.
Yeah, right.
5 years to draft a receiver that's worth their salt, and they fail miserably every time.
Well,
they haven't even played the ones. They didn't even play Polk.
They've failed at drafting receivers, but the best move they made as far as in free agency was for receivers when they brought in Randy Moss. So I mean, if it happened the one time, let's do it again. Go out, get the big kahuna, bring in T. Higgins, pay that man.
There's no way you're comparing T. Higgins to Randy Moss right now.
I'm not comparing them.
That was a little bit comparing him. The big kahuna, Randy Moss.
I'm saying right now, okay, let me rephrase that since it went way over your head. So during that year, the biggest free agent in the market wide receiver was Randy Moss. They brought him in. So this year, what's the biggest wide receiver on the market right now? It's T. Higgins. So go get him. I'm not comparing him to a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying they're bringing in the future Hall of Famer, T. Higgins. So,
clip that. Somebody clip that.
Yeah, somebody clip that for sure. All right.
Mark the time. 8 minutes, 12 seconds.
All right. We'll go on to Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson was linked to the Raiders. He was linked to the Bears. I thought the Bears would be a good fit for him. He's got a franchise quarterback in there. I didn't say Hall of Famer. I said franchise quarterback. He's got a franchise quarterback in there. They got weapons. I think they need to go out and get a running back that can catch the ball that works in that offense. I think somebody like a Chase Brown type would be great in that offense. So look for the Bears to go and find a running back to complete that offense. It's a bump for Cole Kmet, bump for all those receivers. I'll go to Sarah this time. What do you think about the Ben Johnson hiring? I mean, what do you think about that hiring?
Yeah, again, I think all of them are positive. I think this is really great for Caleb. I agree. I was telling you earlier that I did put stock into Roschon Johnson 2 years ago, thinking that he was really going to come up and be get a lot more than he did alongside of Swift. And I know Swift showed off more than anybody thought he would when he came in there. So that didn't help anything, but I still have this little bit of hope that if they can start throwing to him more and getting him some more opportunities, that could be really helpful. And, without having to go out and get someone new, or at least maybe get someone young that can be like a third behind and learn from them or something. But I just think all these hires are really good. I think this one is a really good one too. I think it's going to be really helpful. I've been watching Chicago going like, what's the problem? You've got all these weapons, we've got all these things, like why are we not making things happen here? So I really hope that he can help them out a little bit for all my family out in Chicago there.
All right, before I go to Connor, I want to say what's up to Alejandro Hernandez, our president, in the chat, along with Jimbo Bimbos. I got to meet Jimbo Bimbos last week for the first time. Had a great conversation with him. We're actually going to have him and his wife over for dinner for the championship game this weekend. So we're going
to get to watch the Bills celebrate. I love it.
Got to check out his restorations in his home and got to check out the stove that we were able to get him through the Ballsville community. So I want to thank Jimbo for a great day of visiting.
I wish I had a sound effect to play.
So all right, Connor, go right ahead. What do you think? Ben Johnson.
I like it. I like the hire. Offensive coordinators and first-year head coach always make me nervous. We've seen that go wrong quite a few times. I do think it's good.
Go so right.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it go right a few times. I would say the majority of first-year head coaches that are offensive coordinators after a great season, usually you never see it happen just that way. They never really reach their potential, I would say. But I think he will do good there. I hope he does good. I saw his introductory press conference, and he had a few good answers in there. So, I think it's wheels up in Chicago for sure.
Yeah, I think he had a nice soundbite ripping your Packers, saying he liked beating up on the floor a couple times.
Hey, you always like hearing that, from coaches that actually care about the rivalries nowadays. You rarely.
I love that he comes from the same division. So I mean, the man's already been part of these rivalries. For the last 4 divisions, he's already got hatred for 2 of these other 4 teams out there, and then he's got some love for one of them, but they're still a rival, so that will last for a little while, but then it'll change. So he's going to have some pretty deep-seated love for these rivalries. When I say love, I mean
the Bears.
He's got a lot of guys to work with, so.
The Bears were, only a game or 2 away. They were looking really good. They should have beat Washington, who's in the NFC Championship game. That game really flipped their season. They were on a upward trajectory until that game, and then they lost on a Hail Mary. So
I'm going to tell you right now, I think this is the best hire of the offseason. I think it will go down as the best hire of the offseason. And if you look at the way that Detroit's built their team, what's one of their real big strong suits that not a lot of people talk about, unless Penei Sewell is doing some crazy scoring, is that O-line is just maulers. Man, they've got a great O-line, and what does Chicago need right now is an O-line. So a guy like Ben Johnson coming in, they have the receivers, they have the quarterback. There's no need to go crazy for any of those positions in the draft. I promise you that free agency and the draft is going to be built around the D-line and the O-line. And they're going to come out next year with Ben Johnson's team and the way that he takes care of things. And like Scott said, running back will probably come along with that package somewhere. And it's going to end up being an offense that's going to be, I think, pretty formidable next season.
No, that's good analysis, Sean, because I'm right there with you. They need to build from the inside out. They have all the weapons on the outside. They need to protect Caleb, their franchise, and Ben Johnson. It's a great hire. I mean, we hate it in Detroit because, like I've said in the pod before, I think they should have. I know it's crazy. People think I'm crazy, but they should have hired Ben Johnson and let
Well, here's my thought on that, because I actually mentioned this to you guys in a thread, and I do feel like this might have been the situation in Chicago, because last year Ben Johnson pulled out really early out of the head coaching conversation. It was like, I'm staying here. We got unfinished business, this and that. And I think Chicago had their heart set on him. I think they were ready to commit to him right then and there. And he was just like, I'm not ready to make that move right now. I want to try to win a Super Bowl with this team one more season. And Chicago was kind of stuck okay, well, what do we do now? The guy that we really want is not going to be available till next season. If we hire a guy this year that, could potentially is supposed to be the new future coach, right? When we still have our eye on this other guy and this guy maybe middlingly performs, then they're stuck in that situation with him, 1 year hire again. I don't think they wanted to go through that. So I think what they honestly did is they decided at that point that they were going to go ahead and move forward with Eberflus for another season, and probably not a full season already in their opinion. They probably knew the firing was going to come around bye week. They probably knew all that kind of stuff, unless he just drastically went in a different direction with that team early season, which didn't happen. So I honestly do feel like Chicago pretty much bowed out of the coaching search last year by giving Matt Eberflus another season, knowing that Ben Johnson was their target all along. And every one of these interviews has all just been a way to get more information out of other potential head coaches that they might end up seeing in a game in the future.
Right. All right. Before we get on to the next hiring, I'll say hi to Fran in the chat. Fran, we are definitely getting cold weather here in Florida. It was 40 degrees today. I was freezing my balls off, and I think my blood's thinning out because I walked outside and I was frozen at 40 degrees. So yes, it is freezing down here in Florida. We did get.
Welcome to the wonderful world of global warming.
They got
It's
7 inches,
California cold here too.
7 inches of snow in Tallahassee. So yeah, those people.
I mean, it's going to take something ridiculous to get people to understand that this is obviously true. But hey, whatever, we'll wait for that giant iceberg to fall off in the Antarctic and create a giant tidal wave to make a difference.
Well, by the time that happens, I'm sure I'll be dead and long gone. So I don't really care. But anyways,
who cares about your kids?
Yeah, or their kids, whatever.
So we'll move on to the horror show that's in New York, and that's the Jetropolitans. Who? What did you say the definition of insanity is, Sean? When you do the same thing over and over and over again, and instead of going out and hiring an offensive mind, they go out and hire defensive mind again, which is Aaron Glenn, bringing him in, which is going to be do absolutely nothing. What the Jets did, which was, I mean, it's not all that bad in Detroit. We do lose both coordinators, but instead of getting some draft picks for Ben Johnson, we actually got draft picks from Aaron Glenn. So the Lions get a 2025 third rounder and fourth round, a third rounder this year and a third rounder next year. Thank you, Jetropolitans, for making it this day at least a little bit brighter for the Detroit Lions. So bon voyage to Aaron Glenn. It goes over to the Jets. I will go to Sean. Sean, what do you think about the Jetropolitans in this hiring ex-great Patriot great Aaron Glenn?
It's right up their alley. I mean, when was the last time they hired an offensive coach? Was it O'Brien maybe? Or no, O'Brien was Texas. Who was the last guy they hired that was a Patriot guru that failed miserably? That was the offensive Mangini. Eric Mangini, I think, was their last offensive head coach hire. And what are they, 10 head coaches deep since then or something?
Yeah.
It's like, you're seriously going to go into your 10th defensive head coach and not understand that offense is important. I cannot believe it. I feel like the Jets fans wish Woody Johnson would have got his Ireland ambassadorship and left for Ireland before they made this hire now. I really do feel Jets fans are just disappointed in the situation. It feels like rehashing the same thing over and over again. But I do like Aaron Glenn. I do hope the best for him. I just don't know if he's going to be in the situation to succeed.
Now, I know that a lot of us have been getting ripped on for ripping on the Jets all the time. So I'll go to their the one guy that defends them, and that's Connor. Go ahead and defend the Jets.
I mean, I agree. I think they needed an offensive-minded head coach. I still don't know what direction they're going to actually go this next season. Are they going to stay with Rodgers? Are they going to, go younger? But they really don't have the draft pick to do that. Are they going to go get a different free agent? We'll see what they actually do, on the offensive side, especially at quarterback. They have all the pieces around them. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall. I mean, you have maybe Adams if he decides, to come back or whatever. You have some other pieces there, especially on the defensive end that are younger. You have Reed and Sauce Gardner, but we'll see what they actually do at quarterback because that's going to ultimately decide their season. So
I think the Saints are ultimately going to be thanking the Jets because the Saints were pretty much ready to hire him if he walked out of the Jets facility without a deal. So this might turn out to be a blessing in disguise for the Saints because I do feel like they're in the same boat. They need to approach an offensive scenario, get an offensive-minded guy in there and bring in a quarterback that he wants to groom.
Yeah. Now, Sarah, they pretty much did the same. You had a guy in Robert Saleh.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a defensive guy. Aaron Glenn's pretty much the same thing, except Saleh's has a little more experience, and that just tells you right there that Rodgers is the one that is running the show there. You get rid of a defensive guy who actually I thought is a pretty good coach. I like Robert Saleh, and you bring in Aaron Glenn, so you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And Jimbo
Do you think Rodgers comes back now? Do you think this makes a difference in Rodgers returning one more year or not?
I think that
I don't think so. I think
Then-
he wants offensive court. He wants an offensive-minded coach in there.
What if he
Does
wants
he?
so he can get the right O coordinator that he knows, that he's like, this is my guy. I want this guy, you know?
That's what I'm wondering is like, is he the reason that they brought in another defensive guy? Does he think that like something else is the problem?
Yeah, like maybe there's some
something
like
that.
quarterback coach off of LaFleur's system or something that he's got a relationship with, and he wants to come in as the offensive coordinator. And you know, the owner wouldn't agree to giving him a head coach, but he'll give him the offensive coordinator job to pick and choose guy for that. But he wants a head coach that, you know, is his guy.
Well, I mean, they not only chose a defensive coach, like it's not like they picked the best defensive coach that was this year. I mean, the Lions weren't. I mean, they were mediocre at best on defense this year. I just don't.
They had a lot of injuries, and that man pulled them through a big scenario with injuries. I mean, major players on that defense went down.
But then it relies on coaching. So,
exactly.
I mean, at best mediocre. I think he's a good coach. I think if they're going to do defense, you got to go get Brian Flores, who had maybe the best, defense.
Yeah, I agree. Brian Flores is you know, and actually Jimbo in the chat had a good comment. He said, thank God Cohen stayed in Tampa. Cohen was a hot name. I could have seen the Jets maybe bringing him on. That would have been a good hire. Offensive guy, in Tampa did really good with that offense, and he decided to stay in Tampa, which is great for the Bucs. So, but yeah, the Jets are the Jets. So I mean, they're just, they're going to do Jet things, and they're going to get what's coming to them. So that wraps up that.
Even needs to revamp their scouting department too, because I mean their drafts have been horrible with the exception of that year with Sauce, and they haven't really had the greatest drafts. Yeah,
and the only other player news that kind of snuck up on me, which I saw a couple days ago, was Jonathan Brooks is going to be out the whole 2025 season. Also, he had surgery in December, and I think they just decided we got Chuba. We're not going to rush him back. When he does come back in 26, he'll still only be 24, years old. So they'll probably get him going then. But let me go to Sarah on this. Sarah, what is this? What are you doing with Jonathan Brooks in Dynasty? If you have him, is this a buying opportunity for a rebuild, or is this if you're a contender, you're probably not very happy with this news? Are you going to try to move on from him, or if you're a contender?
Yeah, it depends, right? Yeah, it depends on what the rest of your team looks like, because I know a lot of people that had Chuba also picked up Jonathan Brooks to kind of like be that like, okay, next guy up. Or if you're drafting fresh startup, a lot of people took Jonathan Brooks first and then took Chuba later just to have that backup. So a lot of people have both. I have both in a lot. I also think that if your RB room looks pretty good already, you should probably think about selling just so that you can get some extra pieces, maybe some picks or something like that. But if your RB room is a kind of in that place where you're like, well, I have Chuba and I kind of want them both, I mean, it really depends on how you play. Like if I have Chuba and I have Jonathan, I'm just going to hold on to Jonathan and just keep him on my IR, because why not?
I think
see what
the
he
big
does.
factor too is if you have 2-year taxi squads. If your league allows for
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. That's a really good point. I forgot about that because he is going to be a second-year rookie. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. You have to kind of have that, and that's not very common. So, if you have room and you have Chuba, I'm going to keep him. If you can't spare the room and somebody else wants him, it could be a good sell for like Chuba and Brooks as a package. You might be able to get some like high pick and a decent RB or something like that. But if I have both, I'm generally going to keep them if I can. But if it's just Brooks sitting around and and I'm not even using him, it depends on the situation. But if someone really wanted him, I probably couldn't pass up a good deal.
Connor, selling, buying?
I'm thinking
holding.
Yeah, I would say he's probably a hold right now. Selling right now, this isn't his first major injury. This is his second. He was coming out of college with a major injury. That's what shot him down draft boards. And I think I'm not sure he actually ever comes back to what he would be 100% without that. But selling right now, you're probably getting, pennies on the dollar for that. So I'm holding him. I mean, if you bought him already during the season, you're not getting what you would want in return. So I don't think you're going out and buying him. You're like, yeah, I'm going to hold this guy for a whole year and see if he actually comes back. That really doesn't make sense either. So if you have him, hold him. If somebody else has him, you let them, try to scrounge around for sells, but I wouldn't be buying either. So.
Yep. So I
let somebody else make an offer if they.
Sean and I had a big trade in the Dino League, and I acquired Jonathan Brooks. And I know Sean's probably jumping up and down right now. His trade looks a lot better now.
I'm not jumping up and down because I have him in a lot of other leagues too. So I'm just as hurt by this news as you are, brother. Trust me.
Sean picked him in Dynasty, hoping he's going to play Week 1. So I'm betting he's going to do that again. We'll bet.
Maybe I'm going to do it next year too, for sure.
Maybe he'll actually outscore Zeke Week 1 this year. We'll see.
But no, I mean, I am rebuilding, so it's not a dream crusher. So, but I actually agree with Connor. I don't know if he coming off. I mean, I think it's the same knee too. So yeah, it just unless he comes out and has a Frank Gore career, I don't know. I'm a little nervous.
Willis McGahee. I mean, Willis McGahee had a similar scenario happen. It was a little, both of his knees were in college, but it was, pretty close together, similar to what he's going through.
But it's not like Jonathan Brooks ever produced that well in college either. I mean, he was behind Bijan and Roschon, and then he took the job at Texas, and then he was having a decent year, but then he tore his ACL. So
what do you know about Texas? For those of you that don't know, Connor lives in Texas.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry. I say hi to Jerry in the chat. What's up, Jerry? Welcome in. Thank you for showing up. All right, let's move on. We're going to go to the divisional round, and we'll get into our games and the predictions that we had last week. And I know I didn't have a very good week like I've been having in these predictions. So I don't even know if I want to predict anymore. But so these are the predictions and the games, and we'll go to game for game, and then we'll mix in how we did with our predictions. So we'll go to the first game, and that was the Houston Texans traveled to Kansas City. Kansas City won that game 23-14. To me, I think it was just another bye week for the Chiefs. They went, they got the job done. Kelsey had a big day. The defense came through. So to me, I just felt like it was Houston's not ready. They're kind of to me, they seem like they kind of took a step back from last year, even though they made the playoffs. I don't think their team was as good as last year, losing Tank Dell and the running, the losing Tank Dell that really and also Stephon Diggs really didn't help the receiving corps. And then I predicted that game right. I don't think I predicted the score that right. 24-7. Is that what's my prediction?
24-17 is your prediction. Yeah. Oh, everybody was relatively close. Connor was a little high on the KC side, but everyone was right in there in the 20s and like the teens, Sean a little high on the Houston side.
What do you think about that game?
I mean, it was basically what I anticipated it would be. I did think Houston would put up a little bit better of a fight, but that O-line is just trash, man. I mean, they got to do something with that O-line if they want to be a competitive team going forward. Even if they didn't have the injuries of wide receiver, I don't think it would have made a difference the way that game played out. So, definitely was disappointing because, Houston wins that game. Obviously, the AFC Championship would have been at either Baltimore or Buffalo as opposed to Kansas City. So, who I was rooting for, even though I picked against them. So it was heartbreaking in a way, but, I still have my eyes set on a bigger prize come later on Sunday. So.
Okay. What about you, Sarah? Looks like you predicted
21-17 was my prediction. So a couple points off on each side. I don't think anyone really thought in their hearts Houston would be KC, regardless of how much we would wish that they would. Because I'm tired of seeing them win, but you know how that goes with. But it's just I thought that Houston's defense would be a little bit stronger. I also did not realize their O-line would just collapse like that because they certainly didn't when they played us. When they played the Chargers, Caleb had plenty of time most of the drives. So, I've got a little bit of credit for Casey's defense on that though too, obviously, because they kind of tore them apart. But yeah, I did think it'd be a little closer, but think it's pretty much exactly what we all thought.
All right, and then Connor looked like he predicted a blowout in Kansas City's favor. It almost seemed like a blowout. I mean, the game.
Yeah, it felt like a blowout, even though it was only
but
9
it
points.
actually felt like a blowout. So, what do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I was expecting KC's offense to look just a little bit better. I mean, they were coming off, basically a month bye. So I think their offense is a little slow. They, their first 2 drives were, pretty bad. They got the ball, on Houston's side of the field, basically, had negative yardage and then kicked the field goal. And then I think the next drive had 0 yards and punted. So, but yeah, they started off slow. I was expecting just a little bit more on the offensive side. I expected Houston to basically do what they did. I was a little, I think, like I said, I think Kansas City probably could have scored a little bit, better. I thought they would, but basically the game I saw was what I was expecting. Am I the only person that thinks the call on Patrick Mahomes was a good call? The 2 guys colliding down onto his head.
Oh, that was a ridiculously bad call. How would you think that was a good call? It sounds, par for the course, being that you're such a Jets lover. But how could you talk about that call like it's a good
The
call?
dude hit him in the head with his helmet. I mean,
He didn't touch him. They hit each other.
touch
He was underneath the 2 of them. The guy was giggling down there when he saw that flag.
They literally hit him in the head. We just
They did not touch his head, bro.
Okay.
They did not touch his head, dude.
That's why they called it, Sean.
Oh my gosh.
The
They did not
NFL 's
touch his head.
The NFL is going to have to look at penalties in the future. If we
Let me
gotta,
ask a question. Am I the only one? Of course you're the only one. You're the only one in the world.
Yeah.
so, I don't know, but
I'm trying to ask a Bills fan that has no way of saying it, without any
Oh,
bias.
come on, bro. Come on. You're telling me that it doesn't matter if Bill's fan or not. That is obviously not a penalty.
That was the 100% the correct call in my eyes, and I have no dog in the fight. So
You need some glasses.
I have them.
Yeah, that's correct. All your eyes, you need glasses.
all right, well, that's a conversation for another day. Let's move on. We can all fight about penalties and not calls, even though
Respect the whistle.
a lot of these calls do penalties and calls do change the momentum of some of these games, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, like a penalty call that doesn't happen because the dude falls down in the snow.
So, all right, let's move on to the next game, where the Washington Redskins went to the Lions Den, pulled off a 45-31 victory. Didn't really see this coming. I think I predicted 34-23 Lions.
I think it was one of us that
34-23, yeah. This is
I hate
actually
that.
known as the game that Connor and I already knew was going to.
Oh,
Yes.
you picked it too, Sarah? Oh, thank you, Sarah. I'm
Yes,
so
thank
glad that somebody else is there with Connor and we don't have to worry about him being on a pedestal all alone again.
Yeah, we'll give you guys your time to gloat. I'll just let you guys know that that this game, I think the Lions lost this game. I don't think the Redskins won this game. You guys can disagree with me all you want. It's real talk. Jared Goff, if it wasn't for the pick six and the terrible interceptions, I think even though the Lions could not stop them on offense, I think it was going to come down to whoever had the ball last. And I think that the Lions could have made a few more plays and get the W. But this is on Jared Goff. It's on the coaching staff. Aaron Glenn, went to his man-to-man. Didn't work. Like I said, you can't. Jaden Daniels is a stud. Precision passing. You can't argue.
They didn't punt, I think, the whole game, right? I mean, that's bad.
Yeah, you
bad.
can't argue with Jaden Daniels. I mean, he played a perfect game. They didn't get any pressure on him. This is, like I said, on golf and the coaching staff, and that's why they're at home now. So I'm going to go to Connor because Connor is one of the two that picked this game right. So what did you think? What did you think about this game?
Yeah, like I said, again, another game I thought was going to go this way. I didn't think with all the injuries, the Lions would be able to stop Jaden Daniels, especially, coming off of a great game against Tampa. He was riding high on that. I think the this is exactly what I saw. I didn't think Jared Goff would make that many mistakes. I thought Ben Johnson had some terrible calls as well. I mean, he had, Jamison Williams throwing the ball, with the season on the line, stuff like that. I know that was their motto. They did all these trick plays and all this stuff, but I was expecting maybe just a little bit more of Gibbs. He had a great game anyway, but I was expecting them to rely on him a little bit more. But Goff had a horrible game. Ben Johnson, I would say, probably had a horrible game from coaching standpoint. And Glenn really did them no favors with, like y'all said, the man-to-man stuff, the trying to hold them in. You can't really do that with a mobile quarterback too much. So that's kind of what I saw. I didn't think it would be, a 14-point game. I was expecting more of a closer game. I was expecting, like you said, the last team to have the ball. I was expecting a Washington Commanders field goal to win it, which seems to be a theme of their season. They seem to win on the second drive, but they kind of put it away in the fourth quarter.
No, they have to. Their version of that would have to be like the ball doinking off of both goalposts and the crossbar, and then back off another goalpost and then through. That's how Washington's been able to win these games.
Seriously,
like that.
LaShawn, looks like you had a high scoring game, but you had the Lions. So I mean, was it all Jared Goff, or like Connor said, was it more of the team not being ready, the coach, or did it not matter? Did it not?
I think it's D, all of the above. To be honest with you, like it's definitely one of those things where I feel like everything that you just mentioned had a factor. There's one thing that I do want to talk about that I actually heard on a podcast that I listened to. That's a Bills pod. It's called Shout Podcast. By the way, it's a great podcast. Everyone listen.
You can't flip anything. You can't promote any other podcast.
Hey, I can promote my Bills pods if there's
still on here.
Pods, okay, it's totally different than fantasy.
No, you be doing this to me all the time. No other podcast. You can't have nothing else. Nothing but Ballsville.
So, anyways, hey, if they talk about Ballsville on their pod, I'm going to be more than happy to talk about their pod here. So, either way, they basically brought up a good point that I think is something we should discuss a little bit. Is both these coaches had multiple interviews while they were on their bye week during that timeline and everything, and they both seemed to come out unprepared. It felt like they maybe didn't have the same type of preparation into this game as they normally would, and I wonder if that had a factor in that actual scenario by these guys being so distracted with these head coaching interviews that sometimes could take the full day away from them to be able to be with their team. So, do you guys think that it should be allowed? I know that's a new thing, I think, over the last, 5 to 10 years that allows coaches to be interviewed in between those games if they have a bye week like that. Do you guys feel like that's a rule that should continue, or do you think that they should move it back to the end of the Super Bowl, like it used to be, I believe, and make it to where that no coaches could really be distracted during the playoff season by potential future jobs?
Hell no. That's another thing that should not be allowed. And it's even a bigger issue in college with players transferring and head coaches, leaving before bowl games and all that stuff. But yeah, it's not only carried over to the NFL, like you said, it's caused differences in some games. So
yeah, well, and as a fan base, say the Bills, Joe Brady is another name that's been floated out there, and he's got some head coaching interviews, and he took a Skype interview, I believe, during the week here for the preparation aspect of this week for Bills. And, those types of scenarios, to me, if I'm a fan of that team, right, and we have everything that we have writing on this, I mean, emotionally this season specifically with, losing my dog and everything like that's like, I don't know. I feel like this season has a lot more emotional grab for me than it has in the last few years. And if I was to lose a game and it felt like it's because my coaches didn't come in prepared and it was based on them getting an interview for a job, I would literally be in tears over something like that happening to cost me my season. It seems like is what happened for the Lions. And those fans are just as hurt and have just as much to want this for as any other fan base in the league, including the Bills. So that to me would be so disheartening that I just don't think the NFL should allow that as even a thought. They shouldn't allow that as something that a fan base even has to worry about.
Yeah, it's not that they lost just one coach. They lost, both of their coordinators within, a week of losing.
I mean, so if both of them were in an interview on, say, Wednesday or Thursday of the week, you have both your offense and defensive coordinators missing a full day of practice. When you're preparing for a game that's literally going to send you to the NFC championship, Like, to me, that's like ridiculous. That should never be allowed. Like, you need those guys in that room for every single minute you can.
I agree.
Yeah, that makes
No,
sense. That makes sense.
No, I
That
agree.
makes sense.
There should be fines. There should be something going on. Not saying it's people are, even if you set a rule, are people gonna, with technology and stuff. Text. You really have to dig into it. But Sean made a good point. When you're on the bye week, and this deal was done. This deal was at least Ben Johnson's deal was wrapped up and sealed and delivered on the bye week. So
who's to say he wasn't spending the Saturday prior to the game looking at his new roster in Chicago?
Exactly. And looking at his roster in the Lions and saying, hey, who can I pry from here to bring him over to Chicago? Hey, I need some offensive linemen. I'm going to see who I can bring over from this line. And maybe they're talking. Maybe he goes and talk. I don't think he would do that because, God, that would get out. If that got out to the other players, he might not make it out of the Lions building. But he could go to one of the offensive guys and says, hey, man, I know your contract's up, or I know you're looking. Hey, I got the job at Chicago. Why don't you come on over to Chicago next year? And you got stuff like that. So
meanwhile, I'm going to sit you for this game because I don't want any injuries to happen to you before I bring you on over.
So it's a mess, and it's just a rabbit hole that we can't continue to go.
They shouldn't have any coaching interviewing going on prior to the Super Bowl. I think even if your team is out of it, anything like that, it doesn't matter. Nothing should happen until after the Super Bowl is over. Or at least the teams are eliminated. If you want to interview, now you want to interview Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson now that they're gone and all that, okay, yeah, great. Jump on it. Day after, I don't mind. Same day, whatever. As long as it's after the game.
Yep. All right. Sarah, I'll give you your
thank you. Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
I'll be quick. All of those things aside, I think everybody made great points. I also think a point that I was thinking is that Detroit may have come into that game a tiny bit more confident, because a little more too confident, and maybe didn't give Washington their credit, thinking this is a rookie, quarterback coming in and it's his first time in the playoffs. He's, we got this, no problem. Maybe he was a little overconfident doing these trick plays, not thinking Washington would pick some stuff up or, whatever it was. But I think that also thrown into the mix was a good reason. And, Jaden has been so great. And especially under pressure towards the ends of the games, which is so rare for a rookie quarterback to be that good under pressure. So I feel like this is going to be an interesting fight against Philly.
Jaden could be top 5 in redraft. Honestly, it's hard to argue against somebody who wants to put him at 5 behind the top 4 and then maybe ahead of Burrow per se, because he doesn't have the running ability.
It's going to be hard to argue against him as the 101 in Dynasty.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's almost he's 101 in my opinion right now for Dynasty. I don't see, and I'm a Josh guy. I love Josh, but I can't take Josh because Josh is going into his 7th season next year. So, Jaden is going into his 2nd. He's younger. He's shown the poise to continue like he's done. So I'm with you. I think it's hard not to put Jaden at the 101.
Wow, that's interesting to hear that from you, because I actually got Jaden at 10 is the number 2, the 102. I still got Josh number 1. I don't care if he's going into the 7th year. The guy's a bully, even though he's 29 years old. He is the if you're going to draft if you're going to build a quarterback from the ground up, with traits and pocket awareness and style and everything, it's Josh Allen. Period. So And I
agree with you. Redraft Dynasty, you could argue Jaden. I think.
I just feel like Jaden's already further ahead than, Josh was when he first started. So I think he can can get even better than.
All right, we'll see what happens, because I think we're going to have a
we can do a pub sub on that next year, but it won't be with me because I don't want to bet against Josh ever.
Well, I think we're going to be doing a Dynasty mock. I think on the next show, so we'll see who goes at the 101. So let's get through these games so we can get to some other stuff. We'll go to the next game. We got the Rams that traveled to Philadelphia. Philly won that game 20-22. I think I had it Philly 27-20. So it was pretty close. This game, the only concern I have going into the next game is Hurts's knee. It didn't look very good when he got rolled, kind of twisted awkwardly. Saquon's a beast. Good luck stopping him. They need to get the receivers a little bit more involved. And then the Rams, I really thought they weren't going to be in this game, but I give McVay a ton of credit. That dude knows how to coach. That team never quit. Stafford was like 1-8 in snow games. He's like 1-9 now. But I mean, he had a really good comeback. Puka's for real, and I still like Kyren Williams. So
I don't know. Puka looked kind of weird in that snow, man. Like that poor guy. With the exception of that catch at the end of the game, there he was struggling out there, moving around in that snow, dude.
Yeah, well, it was cold for everybody. But Connor, I'll go to you on this.
Especially here from Hawaii.
I'll go to this one on you, and it looked like you had 28-17 for this game. So, what did you think about that game?
Yeah, I thought it was a great game. Jalen Hurts looked really good on the run. The Rams started coming back a little bit. I thought it was over. I thought the Rams were going to win it when Puka caught that ball you're talking about. They were driving down the field pretty easily, and then I think they went 1, 2, 3 and out after that. He threw the ball away on 4th down basically to end the game. But it was a great game, a snow game. You always like to see snow games. I don't know who I saw on some podcast saying there shouldn't be weather. I think it was Kurt Warner that said that they should just play all playoff games basically in domes and stuff And I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea because you want to see the best team win, but it's football, so you want to the conditions are part of it. So, but I like the argument. If you want to go, watch what Kurt Warner had to say. It's actually a pretty interesting argument. You can't get ready for the cold, no matter if you can get ready for the heat pretty easily. But you can't really get ready for the cold like that. So
I don't know. I don't agree with that because there's an obvious advantage for teams that are in that location on a regular basis and their bodies are acclimated to that weather against teams that show up like from LA, for example, and are nowhere near acclimated to that weather. I definitely think that plays a difference. Yeah, and I think that should be the way. That team should have that opportunity. They live in that weather. They deserve the right to bring somebody there and say, play in my weather.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the right or wrong argument. I'm just saying it was pretty interesting. I haven't heard that one before. So,
and you think about Buffalo, like the home field advantage for Buffalo in the playoffs is such a big deal with the weather aspect involved.
That's because they aren't a good team, so they need the weather. No, I'm just messing with you.
Even you knew better. you knew when you said that. You're like, I know, I can't say that.
No, all right, Sarah. It looks like you had 24-17 Philly over the Rams. How did you see this game? What's up,
Zubigas. I've always been a fan of Jalen Hurts. People get down on him. They think, oh, he's like, oh, nope, not anymore. Now he's going downhill. Now, I've always liked Jalen Hurts. I don't have any doubt. I didn't have any doubt that they were going to beat the Rams. But I definitely give props to the Rams because they put up a good fight. And, I think that they're definitely becoming a better team than I give them credit for this year, for sure. And so they did really well. But, yeah, I just really like Jalen Hurts, and it's going to be such an interesting matchup in this next round. I'm not sure what to do, but yes, this went pretty well. Like I said, Rams did even a little bit better than I thought they would, putting up a little bit more points, doing a little bit more, getting a little bit more on Philly's defense, but pretty much what I thought would happen.
All right, Sean, take it away.
I basically kind of gave you guys my breakdown already. I definitely felt like the Rams came to play. They tried their best, but Philly was a better team, and if you don't stop Saquon, you don't stop Philly. And Saquon just ran all over him once again. The guy's proven that he's a beast, and you have to game plan for him. It doesn't really matter too much, I guess, what Jalen Hurts does if he's going to run like that. So, if you can stop Saquon and you force his ball into Jalen's hands, then maybe we'll have a different outcome. We'll see what Washington can do since they did a pretty good job of that to win their matchup in the regular season, towards the end of the regular season there with them. So, I'm excited to see this upcoming match with them, but this game kind of played out exactly like we all anticipated. Really, the Rams put up a good fight, but just couldn't quite finish it in the end.
Got you. All right, last game.
Oh yeah, baby.
The game.
It was a big game. That's probably why the NFL put it as the last game on the weekend. The Baltimore Ravens traveled to the Buffalo Bills. 27-25. Buffalo knocked off Baltimore. My take, it looks like I had the Ravens beating the Bills in overtime. And to me, I think this game kind of mirrors the Washington-Detroit game. I feel that the Ravens lost this game. They did. They I don't think Buffalo really won this game. You can't turn the ball over in an important game like this. I always say you win playoff games by running the ball, stopping the run, and not creating turnovers. And turning the ball over, dropping passes in the end zone on a 2-point conversion was a big one right there. So I feel bad for Lamar. I really like Lamar a lot, along with Josh Allen. But that just wraps it up for the MVP this year. I mean, I think J817 has wrapped up the MVP, beating head-to-head Lamar Jackson. So I know Connor's shaking his head, but Josh Allen is the whole team. That's why I make him my MVP. Lamar has other pieces around him that can help him win. Derrick Henry's a beast, but it's just too much Josh Allen. Josh Allen is, like I said, to me, he's the 101 in this league. So I'm going to save Sean for last. I'll go to Sarah. Sarah, you had this game 32-27 Ravens.
Baltimore.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I had the Buffalo score right, but I thought Baltimore would get that one last touchdown to get up to 32. But, I should have known, or Baltimore, I should have known, because there's been several games this season where I've seen Lamar just kind of choke under the pressure and throw balls way too hard, way too far when it's like the clutch time and like miss wide open guys. So like, I love Lamar. Don't get me wrong. I think he's amazing. I think that's what he needs to work on over the offseason, because everything else looks really good with him. So yeah, I should have probably known that was going to happen in Buffalo. They're loud, they're proud, and they're really good. So I agree. Josh Allen is a big part of that team. He does get to his receivers, even though he doesn't have like the one big star receiver, he gets enough to everybody, and it works that way. I mean, Mahomes does that a lot too. So, I probably should have known better, but this was a good game, and a little bit off of what I thought, but I'm not surprised, and it was a good game.
All right, Connor, looks like you had 30-24 Ravens.
Yeah, I thought basically the same thing as Sarah. I thought, in Buffalo or Baltimore looked like they're doing, they're playing way better towards the end of the game. They had a couple, Mark Andrews fumbled the ball on a good drive by Baltimore. And then he dropped the 2-point conversion, which, sealed the deal. So, but I will say
he sucks at football.
I won't say that, but I will say that
he hates agreeing with you, Sean. He hates it.
No, it's not that. I already had Josh Allen as my MVP, but this game, never plays any role into that. The votes are done, before the playoffs. So I don't think even if Baltimore won this game, I still would have had Josh Allen as my MVP. I can see it going either way though, but votes were done before this game, so this shouldn't be anything to recollect.
I think Lamar is going to end up winning it, unfortunately, because I don't think he should win it. Not to say he doesn't deserve it. I just don't think he should win it, because this is the second time that Josh has proven that he should earn that award, and it's going to be taken from him again. That's just not right.
I think Jaden should just get it and then just forget about the other two.
And he can have his rookie of the year.
Yeah, he'll get the rookie of the year for sure.
All right, Sean, you got 5 minutes.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a long time. That's supposed to right at 6:30.
So, I mean, obviously, as you guys all know, this game was very important to me. The week was rough. Having to put my boy down like that, it really took a hit on me, and it wasn't easy. And this game was like kind of one of those things. I was like, man, dude, I don't know if I can take a second loss this week, man. This would be rough. And so, I was nervous as hell. I mean, the whole weekend, all three of the other games, I really couldn't enjoy them to the level that I wanted to, because my mind was just on this game the whole time. Like, it was just impossible not to continually think about it. So, the game comes along. My dog was named after Freddie Jackson, who was the running back that for the Bills when I was, 2001 when I got him. He was my favorite player. Obviously, I named my dog after him. Got myself a Freddie Jackson jersey, had it ever since. So put that jersey on. Watching the game, first drive of the game, Buffalo's driving down the field. They're at the goal line, and who comes in to run the football but number 22, Ray Davis, rocking Freddie Jackson's old number. First play of the game, he runs it in for a touchdown. Right then, I knew that this
Aw.
So that moment right there was a really uplifting moment for me, being so nervous and be able to have that moment right out the game. So, for me, everything from there was kind of just euphoric. That whole first half, we played amazing. We played exactly the way I hoped we would have played. We pulled the 21-10 halftime lead going into the half, having the ball back to start the third quarter. Everything was looking great for Buffalo. And then Baltimore showed up. I don't know who played the first half for them. I think they sent out their B squad or their lookalike, stunt doubles. Who knows? But they definitely came out the second half a totally different team, made a lot of good adjustments, and they were running all over Buffalo. I'm not going to lie. It was really freaking me out there for a while that we were letting them get back into the game like we were. So when time kind of rolled into that, late fourth quarter drive where Lamar was driving down the field and he threw that touchdown to Likely, I had two thoughts going through my mind at that point. Shit. That was the first shot, of course. The second thought was there's still 1:33 on the clock and Josh has a timeout. So I was not concerned that they were going to tie the game with that 2-point conversion. I honestly thought they were going to get the 2-point conversion and it was going to come down to the drive that Josh was going to have to play here coming up. So, during that whole situation, I was preparing myself for the drive that was going to be coming. And then all of a sudden, here comes Mark Andrews with his frozen fingers and just drops that ball and hands Buffalo the gift that we don't even have to make that effort anymore. All we need to do is get one first down and this game is over. That moment, I don't know, man. I think I wore a hole in my rug running around the living room for 5 straight minutes, dude. It was unbelievable. So, I felt like I told you guys this last week that if we won this game against Baltimore, we'd be going into Kansas City for the first time for me in the playoffs with we are the better team and we should win this game. So I'm really, really excited to see how this is going to play out, but I don't think I'm never going to forget that first touchdown. That's going to be a moment that I will always, always remember. And I want to thank Sean McDermott and my Buffalo Bills for giving me that.
All right.
Very sweet.
Well said.
The funniest part about the Mark Andrews drop is that Baltimore's Twitter staff decided to post Mark Andrews catching the ball pregame and commented, "The snow doesn't bother Mark Andrews" or something like that. That aged very well.
Yeah, that's a factor we didn't talk about that I really do think made a difference because we mentioned earlier that these games and the weather and this and that and. That was by far the coldest game that Lamar has ever played in. And I think that first half it showed. That overthrow was just, I think, like a frozen brain play for him. And he threw an easy interception. And then obviously that ridiculous fumble where he literally was just trying to change hands with the ball and just dropped it. Those two plays alone, you can't sit here and tell me that weather having to come to Buffalo didn't make a difference in those two plays.
Yep. And that's why it's so important to home field advantage in the playoffs, man. It's so key, and the Lions they freaking blew it, man. Just
another thing I want to mention is Bills Mafia is awesome. By the way, they donated $50,000 to a diabetes foundation for Mark Andrews that he supports. To tell him, don't worry about it, my friend. We got your back. And so that's the kind of thing that we do as a fan base. I say we because part of Mafia for 30 years now, but. That's a huge deal in our fan base to do things like that. So I'm really proud to be a part of it, honestly.
Not to give Sean more props for his team winning, but the Bills fans are probably the closest to college fans that there is in the NFL. Just college fans, do all this crazy stuff, all this tailgating stuff, and the Bills are just almost exactly like that, and I love it. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, let's move on to our predictions for the championship game. So,
wait, Scott. Let's go over our actual overall rank for the playoffs so far, though. Let's see where we're at for our scorecard.
I want to mention
he made some cute trophies. Let's look at them.
Yeah, and I want to mention too, Sarah's. Sarah did a great job on this graph right here. It's very color coordinated. It's very very good to read.
Oh, thank you. Sean made it a little messy with the boxes, but that's okay. That's okay. It still looks good.
That's
He moved the boxes
Oh,
around.
yeah, let's see where we're. Let's see. I really don't want to see where we're at, but everybody else probably does.
You should be able to bump to the next slide. So it'll be right there.
Oh
for
yeah,
you.
word. Sorry about that. Yeah, let me do that for you guys. All right, and
Bum ba da bum.
What the hell? Yeah, that's
So as you can see, Connor and myself are tied at 8-2 with the trophy for the lead. So there will only be one trophy in the end, most likely, depending on who Connor picks for these games coming up.
It's-
is that Santa Claus holding the poop?
I will
That
never.
is a turkey. That is a turkey from the Shawnees. And both Scott and Alex only because he only gave us 1 week prediction, so he's automatically in the 30s. But Scott, my friend,
Didn't Alex go 0 for 4 this week?
did he go 0 for 4? I thought he was
went-
3
I
and
think he went 0 for.
I don't know.
Oh
but
wow, then he definitely earned his 30. He'll get Scott's 30 too. Then he'll get
I
double
don't know.
30s.
But after looking at that trophy, I will never eat a Hershey Kiss again.
Especially if it's in a golden wrapper.
No, yes, I will not eat a Hershey Kiss
In your
again.
stocking.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, I love it.
All right, let's get on. Let's giddy up and move on. We're gonna go to the first championship game. It's the NFC. We have the Washington Redskins, which
Commanders.
when I did see Jimbo's Bimbos this weekend, his wife Lisa is a huge Redskins fan, and she meets me at the door and she goes,
Commanders.
"We have a celebrity in the house," and she shakes my hand and she has an old Washington Redskins like sweater on, and I was like, "That is awesome." So yeah, she's big Redskins fan from Maryland. So I found out she's from Maryland. So give her a shout out, and I'm sure she's very happy because I was telling her team was going to lose. But anyways, so the Washington is off to Philly, -6. Philly's 6-point favorite, 47.5 over under. And my prediction is, I think that, and like I said it last week, I think eventually this run is going to end for Jaden. I think the slipper's going to fall. I think, like I said this before, I think Philadelphia is the most complete team in the playoffs, offensively and defensively. Good luck stopping Saquon. The Redskins do not stop the run.
Commanders.
So they. I really think that Philly is going to just do the right thing, do the thing that the Lions couldn't do, and that's run the ball and keep Jaden off the field and pull out a 28-21 victory. Sean, I'll go to you.
All right. Well, for my Eagles Commanders prediction, I had to do it. Sorry. So I definitely think it's going to be a close game. I'm not with you. This might be a little bit more wishful thinking because I would love to see Josh versus Jaden in the Super Bowl. So I want the Commanders to win, and I do think they can win. So I'm going to go ahead and say they will win and pick the Commanders to take this game. I think it's going to be a close one, a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be more higher scoring than you said it would be, Scott, to be honest. I think we're looking at a 34-31 Commanders win.
Scott, what was your numbers again? Can you tell me one more time?
28.
Mine? I said 28-21. I think it's going to be low scoring, divisional rivals, cold weather.
So I'll get them down right.
All right, Sarah.
How about you?
Oh, my turn. Okay. I agree with Sean. I think Washington can win. I am hoping they win. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I am going to take them. The Commanders, I think, are going to win high score as well. I'm thinking 31-27 Commanders.
All right, C-Bomb, be with me. Be with the force.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles too. I think they're a better overall team. I don't think Jaden can quite carry him over the hump this year, but I do expect him to be back very soon. Back. So I do think the Eagles take this one. I'm with Scott. I think they're like a 24 or a 28-24 game, 31-28 game, something like that. 3-point game.
Which one? Okay, no
We'll
worries.
We'll go 28-24 just for the scoreboard, but I expect it to be a close 3-4 point game.
For sure.
But I do want Washington to win. As a football fan, I want the Bills to win, but as a podcast member, I want the Chiefs to blow out the Bills. But as a football fan, I want the Bills and the Washington Commanders in the Super Bowl. I think
that'd be such a fun.
That'd be a fun little rematch of the '92 Super Bowl, wouldn't it?
That would be a fun.
All right,
one.
well then we'll just go right to the next game, Buffalo.
92,
and
I'm sorry,
KC.
90.
So we'll start with Connor. So Kansas City's a 2-point favorite. Same over/under spread, 47.5. So Connor, you said you like the Bills. So what's your score again?
I want the Bills to win, but I think the Chiefs are going to win.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I want the Bills to win as a football fan, but as a podcast member, I want the Bills to get blown out. But I think the Chiefs probably slightly edge this one as well. I think it's another close game. I think this is going to be a really good game. It probably goes into overtime like we've seen so many of these Bills-Chiefs games go, or come down to the last minute or whatever. I think it's going to be a close game. What'd you say the over-under was 47? So, yeah.
47.5.
That's about where I had it. I think it's going to be like a 24-21 game, 28-27. Another 20. I'm going to go 28-27 on this one, Chiefs.
Okay. All right, Sarah. We're going to leave Sean for last. So
Yeah. I just really don't like KC because they always beat my Chargers. So I just never want them to win. I don't care if it's even more likely that they're going to win. I'm going to take the Bills. I want the Bills to win. I want the Bills to kick KC's ass, and I think they can. Again, I don't know if they will, but I do think they can. I think that they're one team that won't fall under the pressures that a lot of other teams do. However, they are in KC, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a huge – I mean, KC is like an insane place to play. I've heard it from everybody. It's the loudest stadium, so it's like it's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to win. I'm going to take the Bills. I think it's going to be really close, just like Connor said. I think in something around the same, probably like a 1 to 2 point game. So I'm thinking maybe like 27-25 Bills.
All right. I'm really having a hard time with this game. I've been awful with my picks. I feel like this game is going to go into overtime.
This is going to be the first game to institute the Josh Allen rule.
So I feel the game will go into overtime. I feel that the dynasty is going to end. And I have Josh Allen in overtime just taking his team down the field, doing it all himself, like the big, strong country boy he is, and plowing it into the end zone for 27-24. Actually, no, I'm going to change it up. He's going to take it down. He's going to stop at the 5-yard line. They're going to come out, bring the field goal kicking unit out, and it will not go wide right. It will go through the uprights, and they will win the game 27-24 in overtime.
That wouldn't end the game unless that's their second drive. But
Exactly.
It's going to end the game 27-24.
wow.
Okay. So obviously we all know who I'm going to pick, right?
The Chiefs.
All
right.
Oh,
Broadcast over.
So this is the way it's going to play out, ladies and gentlemen. Buffalo is going to come out on fire. Okay, they're going to pull out to an early, probably 2 touchdown, maybe 14-0. Then Chiefs kick a field goal, 14-3. Bills might kick a field goal, 17-3. Go into halftime, maybe 17-10, right? Last minute touchdown by Mahomes before the half, 17-10. Bills are going to come out with the ball, score another touchdown. They're going to go up 24-10. The Chiefs are going to kick a field goal. Bills are going to score another touchdown. They're going to go up 31-10. The Chiefs, 31-13. I'm sorry, 31-13. The Chiefs are going to wait until the last 10 minutes or so of the fourth quarter, and Mahomes is going to, unlock his Kermit Mahomesy magic-y, and he's going to come out there and he's going to try to bring them back, but he's not going to be successful. And the Bills are going to hang on to the win with a 31-23 win.
A lot of points.
I'm gonna clip that whole 1 minute rant just in case that actually happens, so that we can put that up on the social media page.
So it looks like, So it looks like.
Tell me that score again. I was writing something else down.
31-23 Buffalo.
Thank you.
All right. So the three of us have a Philly, Buffalo, or
No, it's 2-2 on the Philly
2-2 on the
Commanders,
Philly Commanders,
and it's 3-1 on the Bills Chiefs. And Connor is the lone wolf with the Chiefs.
with the Chiefs. Lone wolf on the Chiefs. All right,
I can't fault him. I can't fault him.
Connor, are you gonna give us a lone wolf like howl? Ooh.
No.
Come on. Come on.
Man. If
You
Kurt
gotta
Warner
do it.
and Mariucci and all them are gonna do it, how can you feel like you're too good for Warner and Mariucci?
All right, let's get into our Ballsville playoff game recap for the week. Sean, I'm going to send that over to you because I know you have a real pretty graph for us.
Yes. Yeah. Hang on one second here. Let me go ahead and I'll start with the breakdown for you guys for hole 3. And Sarah, if you could grab the scorecard potentially for me while I am doing that, that would be amazing.
Yes, I will do that. I had just closed it down, but I will get it back up right.
I appreciate you. I will pop this one up here for you so I can show this slide. Bam. So guys, what we're doing right now, so there's 11 players that moved on from last week. Sarah's going to pull up that scorecard for us here for you guys so that you can see that. The basically what we're doing for hole 3 is everybody has been really accumulating strokes going into this. So our top guys are sitting at like 30 under currently. And this is the hardest hole on the course, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that you show up, you make sure that a beer is cracked or a bowl's loaded or whatever it is you do, because it's going to be a difficult hole for you to deal with, and you're probably going to lose a ball or two. So be prepared to lose some strokes is what I'm telling you guys. The way this is going to work is you're going to make up your own spread for the games and pick the winner. So, for example, I picked the Bills 31-23, right? So that's an 8-point victory. So if I think that's going to happen, I'm going to pick the Bills by 8. Right, that's going to be my game there. Same thing, Commanders. You're going to do Commanders or Eagles, whichever one you think is going to win, and by how many points. You're going to also take for the tie break the total points scored for both games combined. All right, guys. So it's not going to be just one game or the other. It's all the points scored on Sunday, both NFC game and AFC game. Okay. So that's kind of what we're doing for this hole, and the way that the scoring is going to work is if you hit dead on. So, with the example I used with the Bills winning by 8, and if I pick that, and that's actually what happens is a win by 8, then I'm going to end up with a -1 because I hold out. So that's the only way you're going to end up with minus strokes on this hole is to hole out. So most likely, unless you are Nostradamus and you already know these scores, you will probably lose strokes on this hole. So in that example, you would have ended up, getting a -1 for the Bills. Now, say you pick the Eagles to win and the Commanders actually won that game. You're going to get plus 15 strokes off your score. That's right, guys. Plus 15 strokes for getting a losing game. So number 1 is pick the winners first and foremost. Okay. Otherwise, you could literally go from worst to first or first to worst if you get it wrong. So just be right with your wins, and you guys will be able to salvage most of your strokes, and then just try to be as close as you can with the final score that you pick. So that's the way that we're doing this, guys. The reason we're doing this is we wanted to give you guys a hole where you really didn't have the opportunity, unless you were so good, to actually get negative strokes. We really wanted to make sure you guys had a hole that required you to really be on point. Otherwise, you were losing strokes, and help kind of make it to where, it can maybe level some things out a little bit for you guys. Some of you guys that are at the 11th spot, 12th, 10th spot right now, it's not over for you at all. You do a great job this week. You could easily go from 11 to 1 and vice versa, 1 to 11. So that's kind of how we got it set up currently, guys. Again, this is all stuff that we're working on the fly with you guys on. I'm currently in the thread all the time working with you guys on this. If you have suggestions on how to update the scoring for next year, we're going to make tweaks. We're going to do things before we launch our final version going into 2025's playoffs. So I really, really do appreciate all you guys helping me out with that, because I'm getting a lot of great feedback and a lot of things that we're going to move forward with to institute into next year to make this even more fun for you. So you guys have any questions about anything that we went over? Everybody's happy? All right, awesome. This is the old one, Sarah. This is the one from the first season.
My apologies. It was the next one on the list.
No problem. I can actually help you out.
Yeah, you should probably pull it up because I don't know where it is if it's not that.
No problem. So, how do you guys feel about so far what we've been doing with this playoff game? Are you guys enjoying it?
I would if I was still in it.
What about you, Connor?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like a lot of people are giving props to the tournament style, golf tournament style. That's pretty cool. It's something I haven't, I'm not in first in, unfortunately, like usual. So it's a little bit challenging.
You just couldn't help yourself, huh? I had to throw in a like usual.
I gotta get a sound bite for him for every time he toots his own horn. That's what's gonna be toot toot.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's give him a nice little Connor horn. I love it. Oh, that's great. All right. So this is basically where we're at currently, guys. Right now we have the top 11 guys left in. Batmax, Jerry B, 83, and GLC 76 are tied at the top spot with 30 under. Right behind him is JoJo all alone at 29 under. Just behind that is Zubicus, Phil 3988, Jimmy Wojo, Big Tima's 420, and JM Hubs all tied at the minus 28. So as you can tell, guys, 1 or 2 strokes can make a huge difference. So C-Bomb, our Connor, is right there in the 10th spot at 27 under, and ZB Dubs 808 is our final guy ahead of the cut line with 26 under. So it's been a lot of fun. All these guys have really been working in here constantly to help us keep this up to date. So I really do appreciate you guys. And if you're one of those 11 that I just named and you haven't already, DM me your picks, because these are secret picks this time around, guys. So we are not posting them in the thread where everybody can see and work it that way. You guys are not going to know what everybody else has picked. Okay. So send them to me directly in a DM so that I can keep everything hidden from the rest of the 11 people.
This is very cool. I wish I would have been able to jump in on this one.
Yeah. Give Jerry a shout out. Jerry says, great format. Appreciate you giving me something to keep my mind off what life is dealing me right now. Hope everything is good on your end, Jerry B. We'll shoot out a prayer to you guys, you and your family. So
you've been helping me as much as we've been helping you, brother. I'm telling you that right now.
So good luck with whatever you have going on. So getting into future pods, next week we'll be recapping the championship games and doing our Super Bowl predictions. We will also be in future pods, including next week. We will be doing our first 2025 Dynasty mock draft on the podcast. So we are looking for 12 degenerates along with us four and 8 other players to hop in and do a dyno mock. So we're basically going to do Ballsville. Obviously, everything is Ballsville scoring. We're just going to do the lineup first 10 rounds and give a little prize, I guess, at the end of the year. I think we're only going to go to week 4, and whoever's winning by then. So we're going to do that.
Wait. Should we do that? Because that will influence people's picks to do win now mode and not just a dynasty. Should we, just a suggestion, should we as a council of
Good
4,
point.
should we council of 4 vote on who drafted the best? And then I'll put up with my own funds a winner, the 750 for a mini draft or for a best ball league. I'll give the prize of 750. And we can, as a council, vote for the winner of the draft.
Wow. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now a council.
My God.
Council.
Just a heads up, y'all. I was going to say this after the pod, but I won't be here next week. I'll be driving to LA all night long.
Well,
Sorry.
we're going to have a lot of drafts, mock drafts going forward. So I'm sure you'll be.
Yeah, but I was so excited to be on this council. You would do that too?
Hey, I would hop on that because that's player of the year money that you could possibly pocket.
Yeah, get that 750.
You go ahead and get
$7.50, not $750.
Sorry, guys, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit when you said player of the year.
So we're looking for. We're looking for nine degenerates.
No, we have Zoobs. We have us 3 and Zubicus.
Zoob's in. Zoob's the 4th.
All right, so
my council spot.
If you want in, anyone that's in the chat, go ahead and type in your in. I think we got Zoobs. I think we had, we know Alex is in. So yeah, anybody that's still in chat and wants in, get in, and any leftovers, we'll go and we'll post it and get some people in here. But we're gonna have quite a few mock drafts going on, right up until probably. I don't know, the NFL draft probably. I mean, it's going to be the off season's kind of, we're looking for information to fill in. So why not do some mock drafts? So looks like Fran's in. Alex's wife. So yeah, that's great. We're also going to do a Dino expansion in 2 weeks. It's going to be the Heroes of Dynasty. So if you're interested in joining another Dynasty League or another Dynasty League with us in Ballsville, those will be launched in a couple weeks. So be on the lookout for that. You can always tag us and say, hey, I'm interested. I want in. We also have in 3 weeks, Super Bowl weekend for all us degenerates. Along with watching the bowl, we're going to launch our first mini game of the year. So your first.
I'll be drafting from New Orleans.
So yeah, so you can get in there and get the mini leagues and start drafting. So yeah, it's fun times right now for Ballsville. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. That helps a lot. Please go to theballsvillegame.com for our latest updates. Alex works very hard updating the website. It's looking better and better every day. You can also go on there and register for these dynasty expansions. Also these mini games. So you can go on there, put your information in, and it will get right to us. So until next week, folks, for my producer, Sarah M21, for C-Bomb 2024 Player of the Year, and for my co-host, he's Bills Mafia. He is Sean Sleeper. I am Scott Fitzgerald.
Go Bills.
Until next week, folks, we're out.
That's a wrap.
And look at him go! He could!